Hi, Matt. Welcome to the NTM Growth Marketing Podcast. I'm excited to be speaking with you today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. Look forward to it.
So before we hit record, we have a little bit of a connection. I'm going to try to connect the dots here. I might be totally off. So are you from Seattle or based in Seattle?
Based in Seattle, from California. Grew up in California.
Okay. I'm from Pittsburgh, and Heinz is the thing in Pittsburgh. Do you have any connection to either Heinz, the business, or the Pittsburgh Steelers?
No, no to both. I we fell off that family tree a long time ago. I am from the Illinois farmer Heinzes. But I've leaned into that implied affiliation quite a bit in my life. We have So when I was in fifth grade, I ran for student body treasurer. I had a picture of my picture on a ketchup bottle. My slogan was 57 varieties of honesty. And we do helmet stickers at our company, and so I don't know if you can see, for those of you on video, you can see behind me, we have full-size Heinz marketing football helmets, and we
Nice.
give people helmet stickers, and this is the sticker. It's a
I love it.
plush ketchup bottle with arms and legs that actually is still up there in a little frame. So I'm unapologetically borrowing from someone else's family and the affiliation with the condiment company.
I love it. Well, we know you're not affiliated with Ketchup. Tell us a little bit about your actual organization and what your role looks like.
Yeah, no, I founded Heinz Marketing about 15 years ago. We're all about creating predictable pipeline in complex sales situations, helping companies navigate what is often an increasingly complex buying and selling journey. So just helping companies iron that out and create more predictable revenue outcomes from the marketing organizations.
Why have you seen that buying environment has become more complicated over the years?
It's buying and selling, right? I mean, I think there's more people involved in making purchase decisions. It takes longer to make that decision. The navigating that internal consensus building and commitment to change has gotten more complex and harder to do. And then the way we sell has gotten harder. It's no longer just marketing doing work up front and then sales taking over in the middle. It's marketing, sales,
Mhm.
customer success, partner ecosystems all working together to create more predictable positive win-win outcomes. And so, you can't just do random acts of marketing and expect to hit a certain hit the outcome you want. You really do have to have better strategy, process, playbooks to orchestrate the outcome you want in a more consistent, predictable way.
Can you dive a little bit more into some overall philosophies of the marketing strategy that you deploy for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, it's the sexy part is the campaign and the creative and the outcome, but we can't get to that unless we have a really strong sense of sort of the foundational elements of creating predictable pipeline. Like, who are we selling to and why? Like, why are certain companies in the subset of your target market, the people you should be proactively selling to, that have the highest propensity to buy, that have the highest likelihood of actually prioritizing the problem that you solve? And then because buildings don't write checks, the people inside that organization, who are they? What role do they have in the buying journey? What role do they have in either influencing or directing the decision? And how do you create a multi-threaded engagement plan to get all of them engaged in the right way? When you can get 3 to 4 members of that buying committee actively engaged in an opportunity, like your win rates go up by 3x. And yet, if you look at opportunities that most companies have, there's like one person you're working with, and you might still win that deal, but it speaks to the critical importance of consensus building internally. When you've got multiple people, even for different reasons, that have agreed that change is required, that an outcome that is required that they're not working towards today, that consensus building and commitment to change internally drives the deal. And that takes a lot more effort than just downloading white papers and, cold calling to prospects.
Uh, I want to hear a little bit more around how you create win-win situations between marketing to sales, marketing to customer success. I don't know if this might extend into, dynamics with product development. But how do you, as I've heard this a lot from marketers, and even I had a fractional VP of sales come on, how do you create good relationships internally at a company between all these departments?
Well, I think it's critical you think of this as a team sport, right? You don't, marketing does not win unless sales wins. Customer
Mhm.
success does not win unless the product team wins. Like we're in this together. And I think it's really important to have that mentality, knowing that the matrixed way we go to market today, where your prospect and your customer need to see a seamless, consistent message from a company,
Mhm.
not disparate efforts that are different in message and tone and cadence from marketing versus CS versus account versus in the product, etc. So to do that well, you have to have a common set of objectives. You have to have a set of metrics that reinforce the togetherness of the program, and you really do have to put egos aside and think about like the jobs to be done. I don't care about where the BDRs sit. They can sit in marketing, they can sit in sales. They can be successful or a complete failure in both places,
Mhm.
right? You just got to think about the job to be done and who's going to do that and how those pieces work together. That requires a mindset at the highest level of the organization to do that well. And it requires a focus on change management in the organization as well. Because
Mhm.
most people coming in have not been used to doing that. I mean, most sales and marketing leaders bring a lot of baggage with them where they don't necessarily trust and or have partnered successfully with their counterparts in the past. You have to fix that. You have to address that. Like when we engage with a client, we often get hired by the CMO to orchestrate these buying committees, these buying
Mhm.
journeys better, but our results skyrocket when sales is an active partner. When we have marketing and sales and even CS and account management teams working together seamlessly to create a unified experience for the prospect and customer, that's rocket fuel to
Mhm.
results and predictable pipeline in the engagements that we do.
So you get to have an intervention with sales one day. What do you wish sales knew about marketing?
Um, Well, I want sales to see marketing as sort of an even partner,
Mhm.
right? That this isn't gone are the days when marketing owns the top of the funnel and sales owns the bottom of the funnel. We really split the funnel vertically now, with maybe a little bit of a diagonal bent, where marketing may do the majority of the work at the top of the funnel, sales may have the majority of the work to be done at the bottom of the funnel. But for enterprise deals, sales is building relationships earlier than ever. For every deal, marketing has a responsibility to provide sales enablement support to the very last moment of the deal.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's good enough for marketing to do jazz hands at sales kickoff and say that this is what they're doing. You prove it Tuesday morning. You prove it in
Mhm.
your actions at a tactical level. You prove it in every moment of selling tactics throughout the day, throughout the buying journey. So I think that your question was like, what can marketing say to sales? Marketing can say anything they want, but you got to go prove it. The
Mhm.
proof is in your action. The proof is in what you prioritize to help drive the sales number.
There was a scene in a show a handful of years ago, if you ever saw Workaholics. I won't
Hmm.
go too
Oh,
down the rabbit hole, but it was about a bunch of telemarketers and the salesmen cut to the front of the line and they said closers eat first. So that always has registered in my brain of some unhealthy dynamics, obviously as a satire to Comedy Central show of what could happen inside an organization.
well, but I think I mean there's no way you can be successful if you don't work those things together.
Mhm.
I was part of a CMO roundtable yesterday, and we were talking about brand and demand and how too often it's seen as a trade-off, but you need both. And her comment was that demand is generated at the brand level,
Mhm.
right? And like it's super important to get this. If you're cold calling today, that is an expensive and non-scalable program. But if you build a brand, if your product, if your business has a brand, has a reputation, you will no longer be cold calling. Even your first outreach to someone is going to be warm because they know who you are. They have some perspective on who you are. They may not know everything you do, but the way you build your brand drives efficiency at the sales level. Even if you're not generating a single quote unquote lead for the market, sort of the sales organization, your ability to build brand in the organization is going to make sales jobs
Mhm.
way easier.
I want to flash back a couple of years to COVID. What was the biggest lesson you had about yourself professionally during COVID as a marketer?
Um, well, that's a great question. I think that for me it was the ability to work from anywhere. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm old enough that like I miss the office. I miss the camaraderie of having our team together, but I do not miss the commute. I do not miss, you know, sort of having to rush through stuff in the morning, get kids to school, and then have to rush off to the
Mhm.
office. I mean, I have so much time back, but I also realize that like as in the same way that the office was a construct that we did or didn't need, so is almost everything in our day, like spending time in meetings, spending time in email, flittering away time on social media. Like we all have the same amount of time. And what I realized that my rabbit hole was like, okay, if I can avoid that time commuting, how do I use that time more wisely? And it's not just about being more productive to do more work. Like I don't have to take that commute time and pour it into work. I can pour it into my kids. I can pour it into
Mhm.
hobbies. I can pour it into being more healthy and being more active. So to me, it's really, and since then I've spent a lot of time just thinking about like not how to more efficiently use my time, but
Mhm.
where do I want to be spending my time, and how do I re-engineer what's around me to be able to focus more on that.
So do you think marketers should be back in the office, or do you see a world where marketers can work from home the majority of the time and be completely remote?
I think the cat's out of the bag on that. Like I don't think we can stuff people back into the office 5 days a week. I think we've learned that people can be efficient wherever they are now. So we've been, as we grow, we've been hiring people further and further away from where our office was pre-pandemic. So it just doesn't even make sense to have people say, "Oh, you got to come in a couple days a week and just be on a Zoom with customers that are all over the world," right? So I think that you have to be flexible there. Now my wife is a teacher in a public
Mhm.
school here in Seattle. Like she's got to go to work, right? I mean, so there's
Right.
certain jobs where like you do kind of have to be there. But I think that even roles like I'm sitting in we've got a small office now, just a studio, and our leadership team meets here once a week, and I come here when I've got busy meeting days or I know I want to have a little more professional background behind me. Um, but it's a mile and a half from the house.
Right.
It's not, it used to be a 30-minute commute to get to our office. Now it's like 5. So I think that a lot of marketing's work can be done in a more flexible way. If you don't trust your people well enough to get the work done and you need them to come to the office, that is not a work problem. That is a trust problem. That is a culture problem. You either have a culture that needs fixed or you have employees that maybe shouldn't be there.
Mhm. I'd love to hear your thoughts. We just went back, but I want to go forward now. Is
Yeah.
what's an area of marketing that you're excited about for 2024?
I think of every opportunity to engage a prospect or a customer, everything we think of as marketing, I like to think of as an experience.
Mhm.
Like AI is accelerating the pace of content that we're putting in front of prospects and customers. AI is making it cheaper, faster, easier to get content created, which is none of those things is solving a customer problem, right? As consumers, we are getting inundated with more and more and more messages, and yet we have the exact same amount of time we did 5 minutes ago, 5 days ago, 5 years ago. Maybe less time because of other things that are priorities in our lives, right? So, like, someone's not going to just read your email because you sent it. Someone's not going to click on your LinkedIn ad just because you created it. How do you start to think about individual moments as well as the through line of your marketing as an opportunity to create an experience, an
Mhm.
opportunity to create positive impressions, to go from being interruptive to being irresistible? The companies that win moving forward are going to have an experience forward marketing mentality that prospects want to spend time with.
Mhm. I want to ask you a question around failure in marketing. And so
Mm.
I set this up with this context. I was, calling around to find a moil for a bris
Yep.
yesterday. I don't want to hear from a moil about their failure in that process. It's like, you have a
Right.
100% success rate here, or I
Right.
don't want to talk to you. I don't want to know you did this 3 times. I want to see a 10-year trajectory of 100% success. But in marketing, there's an open dialogue around, split testing, pivots. It's
Yeah.
okay, in the right culture to fail forward per se, to use that overhyped term. But I'd love to hear from you. What is a marketing failure that you've experienced and some of the lessons you've learned from that without
Oh,
giving away, anything that's confidential.
I mean, how much time do we have? Right. I mean, I think I can, I think if you're not failing as a marketer, you're not doing the job right. Like if you're only successful all the time, you're not taking enough risks, you're not innovating enough, you're not learning, you're not getting better, you're not identifying and in manufacturing and creating new ways to create the experiences we talked about before. The only way to to lean into innovation is to fail along the way. I can think of failures related to hiring. I can think of failures related to sort of managing our team and building our culture. I can think of failures in terms of product ideas and new sort of go-to-market initiatives that we've thought about that, like, in our heads and in our same four walls are like, this is, how could this fail? Well, it did for 1,000 reasons, right? Or maybe one or two that were really important. So I don't know, like, I mean, Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback a couple years ago, lost the Super Bowl, and like in the very moment he gets up on stage to, answer questions of the press afterward, he says, like, I win or I learn. And I learned a lot today, right? To be able to have that mentality and to be able to even say that in the moments after losing the biggest game of your life, that speaks to a level of maturity and insight that I think we could all benefit from. Like, you were not always going to win, you were going to make mistakes. The only way that's bad is if you don't learn something from it.
Mhm. On the flip side, I want you to brag on yourself for a moment. What is a marketing campaign project, whatever the right wording is, that you're really proud of that you look back on, and why?
I mean, I look back on it, but it's still something today. We've pre-pandemic, we were hosting a lot of CMO breakfasts around the country, and we'd get 25 to 30 CMOs in a room to sort of learn and network with each other. And I was proud of doing that. And then during the pandemic, obviously, we had to stop doing that for a while, and it converted online. So we're back to doing the in-person breakfast, but we also have a CMO community of about 3,100, heads of marketing that get together every Friday, that have a Slack community together. That community gets real. It's not the community is not about the CMO job. It's about the person in the CMO role.
Mhm.
So we talk about everything. We talk about attribution. We talk about sales and marketing alignment. We talk about imposter syndrome. We talk about how to get a board seat. We talk about sandwich parenting. I don't know where you're at, Andrew, but like when you've got like kids you're managing, you got kids that you're parenting, and then you've got your own parents that you're trying to manage as well as they get older. Like, that's sandwich parenting. We get to talk about that too.
We're about
And
2 weeks away from our first son, but
you're
parents are
getting
still
there.
alive. So yeah,
Your
by the time
boy.
this
Oh my
airs, it will
goodness.
be a current situation.
Yeah, welcome to the Terra Dome, brother. It's I mean, we have to, being a parent is the best thing ever. I think a lot about sort of the impact I can have on the world, and the most important way for me to have an impact are the three kids that are back at the house on spring break right now, and sort of my ability to sort of keep them safe, healthy, and sort of embed some values that make them productive, successful human beings. I know I'm going a little off topic, but our purpose, our stated purpose as a business, is to positively impact careers and lives by enabling work that matters. And that whole statement is important to me. But the first part, positively impacting careers and lives, that's it, man. I mean, if I can help a marketer go from doing random acts of marketing to driving true revenue, impacting the organization, it impacts their company, it impacts their job, it impacts their career. It makes it more likely they can get the next level of success if they want that in their job, to be able to sort of enable what they want to do outside of the work. That's to me, that's like foundational stuff.
Mhm.
And so I don't like talking about myself. I don't like bragging about things, but to be able to do that with our small company, to be able to do that with the 3,100 CMOs in the CMO community, I'm very, very proud of that.
I love that. So, Matt, to end today, can you share some links, best ways to follow up with you, especially, what you're just sharing with the breakfast, the Slack channel, how people could follow up with you, learn more about that, or just your organization as a whole?
Yeah, you can find us online at heinzmarketing.com. That's Heinz, like the ketchup, marketing.com. We've got 15 years of content, best practices, research, templates. We've got an 85-page predictable pipeline playbook, all available, most of it in no forms. Just go and grab what you want. I'm just Matt, M-A-T-T, at heinzmarketing.com, and would love to talk to or engage with anybody anytime.
And about the CMO Slack channel breakfast, is there a way to learn more about that, or is that a private invite from
You
you?
email me. I mean, it is exclusive to CMOs and heads of marketing. So if you have a title of, CMO, VP marketing, head of marketing, we'd love to welcome you into the group. Just email me, and there's no real sort of formal campaign around it. But if you qualify, or if you know someone you think would benefit from it, send me an email. Happy to get you in.
Perfect. Thank you for your time today, Matt.
Thank you.